We're gonna tell the truth. Mr. Monzel, in your lie detector test, you were asked, did you have any sexual contact with any of your 3 daughters? You said no. And the lie detector said there was no deception.
Yes, thank God.
How does that feel for you? And that your daughters know it.
Well, I felt they always did know it.
You felt they always did know it. And didn't speak it because?
They didn't know no better. They was told no different.
Miss Yvonne took a lie detector test and said, did you make up or exaggerate any stories with the intention to harm Monzel? She responded no, and the answer was deceptive.
When she actually called me up and to make out that my daughter said that I had molested her, and I recorded that, and I actually sent to her mother and my mother, and they were so concerned about her behavior. And this is why I'm saying, so that's why when even that thing that triggered me with the situation with the whole him hitting my daughter,
Right.
it's like I thought to myself, this is a woman that would act like she was concerned if I would. So I realized it wasn't a concern, it was just something, a trigger, something for you to react.
Right.
Because again, speaking with the ex, I've realized she'd put him in situations like that.
So you know that the man she was with before?
Yeah, like, well, I didn't know him, but like I said, I got to know. We had to meet up and talk about this because she created conflict
Between you and him.
us. Hence why, I don't know if we'll talk about it later, with this new partner, which she was letting me know that there's some new person, I thought it would be better to just meet him man to man because I could see she wanted to try and create conflict between us.
So she's now got a new partner?
Yes.
All right, and she's trying to create conflict between you, or no? Is it?
Well, I mean, there was one evidence right there that we just discussed. I mean, and basically say things of stalker abuse. They're basically the same narrative of what she told me about the guy that she was with before. You know, it all goes into my the Baby Father podcast. But as I said, because I wanted to focus on the parental alienation and the situation with my daughter, I understand more so when I hear a lot now. I listen to more women now when they tell me, and men, when fathers have abused children, sorry, not just fathers, but you know, boyfriends and all that, children abusing children. But and the fact of the mentals is that mothers do it too, but they get away with it.
I mean, I believe so. I believe so. I think women get believed more so than men get believed, and I think a lot of the time when it comes to men and their like situations or what they're going through, they're kind of looked at with. They're not taken as seriously.
You know what it is? It's not they're taken to be seriously. It's that it's always justified. So women can talk about a man even shouting and calling it abuse, but they can abuse their child with the same language and it's okay. It's past. You see, you know, the same. Oh, I'm emotionally abused, or could they even say to you? Sometimes it's not the physical; it's the verbal abuse.
And
but her mouth,
psychological abuse.
Psychological that I used to see. That's a concern. That to speak to her about her.
Mom had called my friends trying to find me and threatened them with charges if they didn't turn me in. I did not want to go home, so I made up accusations against my dad. I told the sheriffs that my dad was sexually assaulting me and that he was hitting me with a pistol.
Mike and I went down to the police station. They started asking me about my husband, pistol whipping her, sitting on the edge of the tub naked, fondling her. And I said, what in the hell are you talking about?
I knew if I said something, they'd start an investigation.
They kept trying to get me to admit that my husband was capable of this, and I kept saying, there is no way.
It got really crazy. When I realized what I'd done, I'd called the police and told them that I'd made it all up.
She got all she needed from watching an episode of Law & Order SVU. Amber caused an unbelievable amount of damage. I don't believe that my husband will ever fully trust her.
Yeah. Mike, this had to be an incredibly difficult time for you. You were questioned about this?
Yes, I was.
What went through your head when they start asking you these questions?
think the first thing that came to, that hit me is like, what's going on? I mean, trying to wrap your head around what's being told you, the questions being asked of you, and going, where in the hell is all this coming from? It crushed me. It honestly crushed me.
How do you feel about it?
I hate that I did that to my dad. I don't know how else to explain it. It was just something horrible. And there's no amount of times I could say sorry enough.
And why did you do it? Why did this make sense at the time?
Because I knew that it would start an investigation into the household, and I thought that maybe if the investigators were diligent enough, they'd find out about the abuse between me and my mom, and I wouldn't have to go home.
A lot of women say that they were with narcissistic men.
Oh, I want to hear.
A lot of women say they're with narcissistic men, right? A lot of women say, oh, do you know what? My ex was we've heard it on the show, right?
Oh, always.
My ex was a narcissist.
I've never heard a guy say his ex was a narcissist. That's the funny thing.
Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because what we're going to do, have you heard of the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders?
Okay, go ahead.
The DSM-5. It is the Bible of psychiatry and psychology.
Okay.
And so narcissism is actually a mental health disorder, right? Mm-hmm. But in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders, there are 9 narcissistic characteristic traits to show that you are a narcissist.
Okay.
Number 1, an inflated sense of self-esteem, a grandiose sense of self-importance or superiority.
Okay.
Does that sound like...
I'm a 10.
Thank you. Does that sound like the man or the woman? Okay, someone who is craving admiration.
You go, girl.
You go, girl. Exploitative relationships, i.e. manipulation. Little to no empathy. Okay, identity is easily disturbed, meaning they cannot handle criticism.
I mean...
Let's talk about the show, pal. Who can't handle criticism on the show?
I mean, women.
Modern women. The lack of attachment and intimacy. Modern women. Feelings of depression or emptiness when they are not validated.
Oh, yeah, that's women. That's
right.
Yeah, I think that's just women in general.
A sense of entitlement.
Modern women.
Can feel like others are envious of them, or they may be envious of others.
You're so insecure.
Right. So this is what I'm trying to understand, right? Like, women use the term narcissism all the time. So listen, everybody can go and research what narcissism is and the traits of narcissism. I don't understand what I do because projection is a thing. These women are projecting their own narcissistic traits onto other men and saying that the men are narcissistic.